Hello and thank you for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, federal government approves 20% increase in salary of policemen. Uncertainty over Electoral Act Amendment Bill as timeline for President assent lapses. And later on the show, DSS raises alarm over alleged plot to destabilize Nigeria. I'll be hanging out with Adewale Adeoye and Emeka Madunagu. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Call it a Christmas gift or acknowledgement of influence of NSAS protests. You may not be far from the truth. The federal government has bowed to pressure by approving one of the 5 demands of the NSAS protesters, which borders on the increase of allowances of policemen. The Minister of Police Affairs, Mohammed Dangiyari, said government has approved 20% increase in salary of personnel of the Nigerian police with effect from January 2022. Let's hear the minister.
In October 2020, this country was rocked with NSAS protests. Mr. President had to address the nation and appeal for calm, after which he promised Nigerians that the salary of police officers will be reviewed, will be improved to enhance their take-home pay in recognition of the services they have been rendering to this country in the areas of maintenance of peace and tranquility. So the Federal Executive has today approved these proposals for the review of their salary, which will take effect in January 2022.
Wale Adeoye, things are getting better. Now, we might not have gotten to where we ought to be, but definitely this is like a quantum leap. When you see the number of roadblocks manned by Nigerian police, from, let's say you are going to, the last time I traveled to Anambra, I deliberately went by road.
Yeah.
So from Lagos down to Ijebu-Ode, down to G4, down to Ajibandili,
Yeah.
to Ore. At the end of the day, I counted like 68.
And this.
68 roadblocks, and they were collecting money, junction to junction.
Yeah.
And it was like, see, this is a thriving business, and it's something that there's nothing you can do about.
Yeah.
I got to Anambra State, I saw one of my big friends in the police, and I told him, I said, man, this is so disappointing and challenging. With this 20%, I don't know, maybe it will cause a kind of attitudinal change, because I don't know why you'll be collecting 100 naira, 20 naira, 50 naira from motorists.
I think this is a significant development coming from the federal government, especially at this time of economic downturn all over the country. Apart from the 20% increase,
yes,
there is also
operational,
increase in duty allowance, tour allowance, shift allowance, and also 1.2 billion for unused, uninsured benefits, and also waiver for police junior officers, the tax waiver for them. I think this is quite significant. In the past, we have had promises.
By the time you put all this together, maybe somebody going home with 25,000 before. Let's say.
For instance, the constable takes about 42,000, and corporal about 45,000, ASP about 130,000, ASP 2 about 139,000. So if you look at that, 20%, for instance, for a constable, will mean getting some less than 10,000 naira plus the 42,000. That would be about 52.
But those allowances.
Yeah, those are, so no doubt, is going to increase, is going to stimulate them, is going to improve the quality of delivery, you know. And I think the federal government should be commended for this. Though the federal government says it's going to commence in January, but unfortunately, this was not captured in the 2022 budget. So they need to present supplementary budget.
Yes.
And January is just a few months ahead. And then in the past, we have few days, really. We have had the federal government make such promises without, transforming such into action. We hope this time they will speed up and then ensure that, they fast track this decision. But I think this is a step forward. It's not a step backward. Though we still have a lot of areas that we expect the federal government to cover. Because mere increasing the salary is not enough. The working conditions, sometimes you see policemen, 6 a.m. you are going to work, come back 6 p.m. they are still there on the road. How do they go to toilet? How do they eat? So the working conditions in terms of a lot of, even the helmets, the body camera, the DNA test, ballistic, helmets, and also they still need light detector. Instead of you arrest a criminal, you begin to torture him. They need to have light detectors. Then the accommodation, provision of accommodation, many of them sleep in their offices. Because if you have to spend almost about 1,000 on transportation, you better sleep in your office than to go home. So they still have a lot of things to do in terms of changing the environment that the Nigerian police work. But I think we are moving forward a bit.
Emeka, I tell somebody that I dread any situation that will make me to go to a police station. I don't like it. Yes. I've never been arrested in my life. And I don't even like to go there to go and bail anybody or to. Do you understand? Yes. I find it very difficult because things I see there are not things I can, actually stand. The environment, the working environment is not encouraging. Yes. The atmosphere is not encouraging. And the attitude is not even encouraging. Yeah. Not to talk of you being detained, not to be put at the back of counter, you going into that cell. Damn,
it's you've laid everything very correctly. So you see, there is this unfortunate transfer, of aggression from policemen to the society. Because policemen are taken from the society. And, they, in their interactions with the people, in their interactions with the society, they give out the sort of painful experiences they go through every day. And it's as if, there's this hangover from the colonial era that anybody in uniform must work as an oppressor, must grind the people into the dust.
Was that name, Nigeria Police Force?
That name too, it's been debated that they should just be Nigeria Police, or like South African Police Services, Nigeria Police Services. Departments. Or even Nigeria Police, I mean, the dictionary means police, people, belonging to different departments, international security. So that word force should also be part of the reform, should be removed. And then the police needs to be professionalized, apart from increasing their salaries, which we must take note of the fact that, those who have tried to make the NSAS protest look like, it was just a gathering by hoodlums, hooligans, and all of that. Now, I hope they will be gracious enough to come out and apologize, for those reckless statements they made, because this is a positive acknowledgement by President Muhammad Buhari that the NSAS protest actually had something good for Nigerians. So that is a pass mark. Then the other side of it is that the police services, the police must become a service, must be professionalized. The people going into the police must also be given, that confidence. They must have that confidence that yes, it's just like a civil servant, just like somebody going into the civil service, somebody going into any other area, maybe the diplomatic service and all that. You have a goal in mind. You're building a career. Now, you expect that you're going to give 35 years of your life in the service of the nation. So definitely, you have a career projection. You have a career trajectory. And then they should also attend refresher courses. You don't just keep them out in the sun, in the rain, as if they are not human beings. And then the mode of transporting policemen, I keep saying it, transporting human beings in open pickup vans, it is an assault on their human rights. It is shameful to put. You even see some you know, when they're escorting some big men, you see policemen sitting in open pickup vans, and the person they're escorting sitting comfortably in an air-conditioned SUV. These things should be a thing of the past, because these things also tell about how we regard ourselves. When a foreigner comes into Nigeria, he looks out for certain things, and then these are the things he goes back with to his country. And you know, if it's a journalist or a researcher, he puts these things down and says, oh, don't you see how they treat their policemen? I mean, that means they don't even value themselves highly.
Well, there's this disparity between the rank and file and the officers.
Yeah.
I've been privileged to meet some of the finest officers by the Nigerian police, and I see the conduct, and I see, even if you look at their profile, the level of education, it's as if you are interacting with the first PRO now, Commissioner Frank Kumba. I went through his profile the other time. I was like, wow, the best schools around available to police.
Yeah. We have some
He's
of
a potential Inspector General Police. The way
we have some of the best men and women, you know, in the Nigerian police. I'm telling you, I've also met a good number of them. And what is happening is the conditions, the environment.
And that disparity between the rank and file, as in the training condition, the requirements.
Well, I think,
who are those? How do they recruit?
I think those are some of the things they need to address, you know, because the police should be the finest of the society, you know. But here, you discover that when you look at your community, sometimes it's not usually the finest in your community that you find going into the police. So the police should shop for the best, you know, in terms of intelligence, in terms of you know, capacity, in terms of ability, you know. So it's part of the reform that I think, you know, that the police needs to address. But more importantly, increasing the salaries of police has not resolved the fundamental issue that Nigerians are talking about, which is the need to have state police. That let each state determine the number of police that they want, you know, let them take over the responsibility of security, you know, in accordance with the principles of federalism. So until we get that address, if we increase the salary by 100% and all that, that does not, you know, address the fact that there's something fundamentally wrong with the structure of Nigerian police, which we need to address.
Because, okay, I have Emeka from Abuja. Thank you for joining us, Emeka.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, it's a good thing that police salary has been increased, but they have to do us good also to monitor this. You know, they are used to free money on the road. That is why if you go to North, you can travel all the way from Abuja to Kaduna. You might not even see single police checkpoint, because they will not get enough money from that. But if you go to the south or to the east, there's no even banditry. You will see every 1 kilometer you see checkpoint. So they are used to that thing. Police authority themselves can do us good to monitor these police people on the way, because that free money they used to get is so sweet. If you like, increase their salary to 1 million a month, they might not stop us in the road. Thank you very much.
You know, it's what he's trying to say, that we're still talking about this checkpoint, and any Inspector General Police that will take over, the first thing you hear is all roadblocks, all checkpoints, disbanded and everything, but you will still see these people there. It is a kind of eyesore. At a point in time when they were stopping vehicles, if they stop vehicle for routine check and everything, there are some they won't even hide it. Oga, please, anything for you.
Yes, they say your
so in a situation like that, you have no choice. It's not under duress, but you have no choice. I say, Oga, please do weekend for us. You know, you want to part with something, but it's becoming a kind of.
It should not even be heard of, because
during the lockdown last year, I was on the road. You know, I traveled between Lagos and the Southeast 4 times, and there was a particular trip that I drove. There was hardly any police checkpoint between here and Onitsha. Hardly. The number of vehicles on the road were so few. And I was wondering, is this the same Shagamu Benin Expressway? Very free. You didn't even the few policemen on the road were just gisting. They didn't even stop anybody. So that tells you that there is no need for these checkpoints. The checkpoints are not needed. What is needed in modern security management are, command presence. What you need, pin down points here and there that don't necessarily have to impede movement. And then, of course, it's unacceptable for the police to still be standing on the road collecting money from people, and then kidnappers are walking, they grab people, they pass through so many checkpoints, bandits and all of that, Boko Haram and all of that. So what it means is that there is definitely no need for police checkpoints. The police should rather be involved in proactive, intelligence-driven policing, curb the crime, frustrate the crime while it is even being hashed in the thoughts of criminals. Don't even wait, because it will lead to collateral damage. The lives of policemen are very precious. So it should not be that, okay, a problem breaks out, you just park policemen there, you don't even care what's going to happen to them, whether some will die or some will incur bodily harm. We should, as much as possible, make policing to be something as a service to the nation, and something that these people can look forward to doing every day. And then again, we talk about the barracks. So much money has been stolen in this country in the name of renovating police barracks, and nobody has been sent to jail. Nobody has been punished for that. So the barracks of policemen, it has to be looked into. It must be, their barracks must be upgraded. It's shameful, the condition in which policemen live across the country.
We have Johnson is calling us from Ikpaja, Lagos. Thank you, Johnson.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Yes, thank you for joining us.
The influence in the police is very good. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
The problem there is that even though if we give police 1 million, they will still collect this of the road. The reasons is from the IG. It's from the general police.
What do you mean by that?
Yes, the general police will demand for a jail return.
You can't substantiate that, Johnson. I refuse to further go further with this conversation. You can't substantiate that. You can't be misleading IG asking them to collect money from the road. What are you? Yes, I know that. Look, there's this notion that these guys, there's a tendency that maybe people that posted them on the road, there's a delivery system and everything. Yes, but Johnson, I can tell you that what you just said now,
that the collection of money is an institutional problem in the police, and the senior police officers also pass through the highway and they see this thing, so they have to do something, to ensure
another worrisome trend is that, look, this NSAS protest, after the protesters, after their protest and everything, when hoodlums took over Lagos, policemen became a kind of endangered species. Till now, we don't know the number of men that Lagos State Police Command they lost. I think the figure was they gave the figure, but across the country. The first thing, most of these hoodlums that have been arrested before, or any investigating officer that the first thing they want to do is like a personal vendetta against the policemen, the police officers that have been terrorizing them and putting them to check in that area. So it was an avenue to launch a kind of attack on policemen, and nobody to talk on their behalf. We lost a lot of policemen.
Very, very unfortunate thing. In any society, the number of criminals are usually very little compared with the population. So the police should conduct itself in a way that it will enjoy public confidence, that the public will be able to defend the police against criminals. But when the police conduct itself in a way that the society itself, you take the society as an enemy, imagine the way the average policeman even stops you, or the way he talks to you, he sees you as a kind of an object. So the police needs to be trained in terms of language, in terms of
radio Nigeria, when you're growing up, the policeman is your friend.
So if the people see you as their friends, they will defend you. They will defend you. And of course, there are some stations that people on their own defended those stations because of one or two good police individuals.
Yes.
In some areas in Lagos.
Yes.
Oh, they say, that inspector is a very nice man.
Area G.
In some areas in Ogba. You know, they mention some policemen and say, look,
yes,
you know,
that
woman, very nice woman.
Oh, sure.
They didn't allow people to
exceptional.
Police must make sure that in Onitsha.
Yes.
So people know those police officers that are very good, and they know those ones that are cruel. So, you know, the police needs to change its own orientation so that the people can give you right information about criminals, and also they can be your friend and defend you against the onslaught of criminals wherever there's crisis in the society.
This welfare package is a step in the right direction. It's just something that we need to sustain.
Yes.
It should not be like a one-off thing. Once in 10 years.
It should be a regular thing.
So that at the end of the day, it will be something that would attract even good people. Of course, to join the police, because financially everything you'll be fulfilled by the time you join the police. You'll be happy to serve your country.
Yes, I quite agree with that. You know, many states have police trust fund, welfare trust funds. I think these trust funds should also be integrated into these reform initiatives of the federal government in such a way that it's not just a few people, a few personnel that benefit from these things, but you see, whatever money is collected, you know, even after you use them, use such funds in procuring vehicles and motorcycles and all of that. You also have something in it to deal, cater for the welfare of the policemen. A situation where you go to the police station, you see on the wall, you see bail is free, and at the end of the day, the police, the IPO is telling you that this case will cost you 25,000. You go bring 200,000. You go bring 500,000. Let the Minister of Police Affairs, I challenge him today to set up a review committee to look into cases of Nigerians being detained unjustly in police stations.
Okay, Emeka. Thank you for staying with us. Emeka, your last take on this police remuneration?
I believe it's commendable. I commend President Muhammad Buhari. Has gone beyond the mere pronouncement he made in 2018, to action. But this salary, please, they should get it from the end of January. Okay. Because the National Assembly now has gone on recess. So that means they have to
whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
They should make sure they keep to their promises.
They should keep to their promises.
January. Wally?
Yeah, it should be a continuous thing. We should not wait for another 10 years to see another major intervention from the federal government. Yeah.
In terms of training, everything should be a full package for the Nigerian police. Now, moving on. As Nigerians wait on President Muhammadu Buhari to append his signature to the Electoral Acts Amendment Bill of 2021, today marks 25 days since it was passed to him from the National Assembly. Now, a cloud of uncertainty is hovering over the bill as the number of days allowed for presidential assent will soon elapse. I think by Sunday, it will be the last day. However, the National Assembly has the veto power to pass the bill should President Muhammadu Buhari fail to append his signature in the next 5 days. Yes, I said next 5 days. This is very interesting. For the record, I listened to Mr. Femi Adesina the other day saying that the president did not pass the amendment bill 4 years ago, 3 years ago, because of the time to election. Now, 2023 election now is in 2023 February. So that means we'll still have time. And if there are portions of that electoral act, something can still be done to amend those area of disputes, and the president will still sign it to make it a law. But it won't augur well again for the baby and the bathwater to be thrown away, that all the amendments we've been waiting for since 4 years ago to be thrown into the trash can again.
Well, I think the presidency still has a window of opportunity to sign the bill. Probably he can sign it tonight or tomorrow morning or even on Sunday morning. So I think we should be hopeful, because the National Assembly said that if he fails to sign, the National Assembly will invoke its veto power, which is guaranteed by the Nigerian Constitution. I think it is better for the president to sign it because it's going to be an addition to, it will add to his image. He should not wait for a situation where the National Assembly will have to upturn, and use his veto power to sign the bill without him. And I think that if there is intra-party coordination, this shouldn't be a problem. The APC has majority in the National Assembly. The APC is the Senate President. It is the Speaker. The APC also has the Speaker, and the President is APC. Is an APC president. So I think by now,
because the excuse 4 years ago was that the National Assembly wasn't working with the executive.
Yeah, they should have been intra-party meetings, intra-party discussions, engagements, so that I'm surprised that 25 days after the bill was passed on to the president, is here to sign. But the window opportunity is yet to expire, and I hope that he does that before Sunday.
Emeka, what do you think Mr. President has refused to sign, or did you see him signing?
The president, of course, I don't know if he has traveled to Turkey for the conference in Turkey, and
he can sign it from Turkey.
Yeah.
Well, there was a bill. I think there was a bill or something he signed in London when he was on medical vacation
from his aircraft.
Yes, fine, but I just hope the president will not throw away this golden opportunity to write his name in history concerning Nigeria's electoral reforms, because the first opportunity he threw it away. This second opportunity, his lieutenants are still giving excuses. And you see, history does not forgive, people who fail to take momentous decisions at certain epochs. And this is an epochal moment for Nigeria, because democracy has come around, has gone over 20 years now. And certain definite fundamental reforms are needed in the electoral process. Now, are we going to throw these things away with all the hard work that was done, put into getting the other bill under Dr. Bukola Saraki? That one was shelved aside. And then this one again. Now, the president was a beneficiary of direct primaries in 2018. That was what APC chose in giving him the ticket. Now, why is he allowing himself to be torn between the governors and the National Assembly members? The governors are not lawmakers. The National Assembly has the sole power to make laws for the federation. So, of course, the president ought to have consulted widely within his party, instead of allowing this thing to hang and then keeping the nation in suspect, because you have electronic transmission of results. You have some other fundamental reforms in this bill. The next thing you hear now, people coming out to say, okay, no, there's no big deal, we can move on like that. We cannot move on like that. There must, every society,
like recognition of the
every society must,
those new things,
every society must reform its methods, from time to time, so that it can advance onto the next level of development. But if we still think that just one issue, direct primaries, will hold things back, then somehow the president is actually, like Mr. Femi Falana SAN said, the president is actually, will I say, scared or afraid or worried or wary of offending powerful governors who have really stood by him. But again, what about the National Assembly that has, given assent to, so many things he has brought before them that they've been called the rubber stamp assembly? Are they going to now approving his laws, approving almost all his nominations? Now, will all this work go down the drain? I think the president should have a rethink. Well, he can do it like the petroleum industry bill. Sign it and then return it to the National Assembly with notes for amendments. But not to sign it at all, either, it's not good.
Okay, we have Ignatius from Owerri in Imo State.
Yeah, this is Ignatius. I'm calling from Owerri.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, the two of the electoral amendments, I don't think there is a genuine Mr. President that can not sign it. Especially given the fact that he has been making promise to Nigerians that is going to leave a legacy of fair, credible, and sound election for Nigeria. But it appears his body language, or would I say the attitude of people around him, suggest otherwise. This is the same president who signed the VIP bill, even when there were controversies surrounding it, at a record speed. So what stops him from also signing this bill into law? If there is need for amendments subsequently, let's see how we can go about it. So let him sign this bill and let Nigerians, be prepared to have a very decent, credible, transparent, and fair election that will guarantee us the type of people and leadership we need in this country so that this country can move forward.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Wale Adeoye, when you look at this bill and the process of dusting up the bill, bringing it from the 8th Assembly, what he did there before, you have the Joint Committee of the National Assembly, they will do public hearing across the geopolitical zones of the country, billions, we spent, to get to this stage. So what we're saying now is that, yes, the president might have spotted, because the president alone will not just see this thing and sign. The Attorney General will have to do his work. The legal advisors around him would have seen some booby traps or some things that might not be in the overall interests of one thing or something that they will need to the National Assembly to work on. So if that is where we are now, I think it's good for the Mr. President to say it on time, so that the National Assembly, since you said it earlier, that they're working together, it's like partners, they can reconsider that portion, and so that this bill will be ready.
The bill is in the public domain, and if the president thinks there are some dark areas, of course he needs to let Nigerians know, and it's not something you have to debate in your bedroom and all that. But most of the time you discover that personal interest, or it may not be the president, just one or two individuals who are very powerful, who are thinking of their own personal, future, narrow ambition, viewing the bill, that is of public interest from their own, of the prism of their own parochial interest. They will just go and tell the president, don't sign this. And I think we should look at this bill from the overall interest of Nigerians. If you look at the debate of the bill across party lines, people, they all supported the bill, members of APGA, PDP, APC, and I think it's a very popular, in fact, one of the few bills that, united all the, members of the National Assembly across party lines. So, and I have not seen dissenting views even across the country.
Even civil society organizations,
everybody thinks this is a very great bill.
Canvassing for this bill so that it will give INEC the opportunity to implement those reforms ahead of next election.
And to make elections, the primaries to be transparent and people-driven. So I hope the president will do the right thing at the right time. And I hope and I also believe there are some, it's not all the governors that are opposed, to I don't think it's all of them. But even if all of them are opposed to signing the bill, the National Assembly responsibility is to make laws for the well-being of Nigerians. And they have done their bill, so the president should go ahead and sign the bill. And I hope he does that before Sunday.
Emeka, now, have we ever witnessed a situation whereby, what if Mr. President does not sign it?
Well, it is possible for the National Assembly to override his veto. Yes, of course.
Do you see this National Assembly as that courageous?
No, that's why I said it is possible. But it being possible is also dependent on the will of the National Assembly to act in the public interest. But I don't think this National Assembly will do so. Yes, of course. I believe there have been one or two instances where, the president's veto, where the National Assembly over the president's veto, I think under President Obasanjo, But one thing is clear, that the National Assembly has really sold itself short in terms of it, being regarded as as one of the strong institutions of democracy. Nigeria, and it was warned. Senators and members of the House of Representatives were warned that all this rubber stamp attitude will push them into a corner from which they will not be able to emerge easily. And this is the situation they found themselves. They cannot override the president with all the noise. It's just empty noise. But the point to be made is that President Buhari ought to know that the earlier INEC is able to begin work, latest from February 2022, the earlier INEC is able to begin work, and politicians can begin work ahead of 2023 election, the better for Nigeria.
Okay, I have Ada from Jos. Thank you for joining us, Ada.
So, journalist Hangout, please, I hope you don't mind. I want to talk about the policemen because we're off here.
Yeah, please.
So people are going to good.
Okay.
So the police, the issue about the police, I commend Buhari for the 20% increase in salary. So that is the dividend of the NSAS thing. But they should go beyond that. How they are trained, the day I had the opportunity to go to where they are trained. In fact, I had good info. Where they live, where they work, the police stations, they are poorly equipped. The schools of their children go to another. They should get a kind of welfare package holistically, like having a house for them automatically. If the person dies in service, the person gets a house. If the person retires, the person gets a house. So that will help to check all these corruption. When Nigerians keep on talking about their extortion, I'm not holding brief for them. But the Nigerians themselves, are they not corrupt? The people giving the money, so take the same policemen to UK or America. They will not be behaving the way they do. Everything they do is systemic. Like I did them honestly speaking. So and then there's inflation. This 20% you're talking about, Ayo. Look, it's nothing to write home about as far as I'm concerned, even though I'm commending them. With the rise in inflation, the food prices, it won't do much for them. God bless us. Let's not give up on this country.
Thank you, Ada. Yeah. Thank you for your contribution. So, ultimately, when we look at we're counting down to the 2023 election, and we said if they fixed February, I think 14th or 18th, 2023.
February 18th.
February 18th. For the presidential election. So officially the countdown has begun. Yeah. Next year is going to be politicking.
Governance will take
all through and see. But this was like a setback for the last election we had. As in the court cases, it affected the litigation because when we didn't have the law in which the election would be standing, and some you can see that we had some supreme pronouncement from the Supreme Court at variance with what is on ground. But a lot of Nigerians will want to know that, look, how do we know that what the National Assembly has done in this Electoral Act is in the interests of Nigerians?
Well, I think it's a coincidence of interest between the members of the National Assembly and also the people. Because members of the National Assembly also, some of them have grievances with their state governors, and they know that if there is direct primary, it will favor them. So I call it coincidence of interest. And that does not really matter. What matters is that many Nigerians, if you go and talk to them, they believe that this is a better option for us. And of course, when you remember what happened in the SDP NRC days, where people had to queue up, you shoot your candidate, you queue up behind your candidate. And then, it's an open thing. It's difficult to manipulate, not that it's foolproof, but it's more transparent than, indirect primary, where a few people, we just go and sit down and then tell you that they have, elected a senator or whoever. So I think it's a coincidence of interest, but as we are talking now, this is what I think is the best interest for us, for the people.
Omega, what do you expect from Mr. President?
Well, I will urge him to sign the bill, the amendment bill. It's just an amendment. I will urge him to sign it and then send whatever observations he has to the National Assembly for necessary corrections before, so that we can sort out this thing before February 2022.
All right, now, finally, what is now a common revelation? The Department of State Services, DSS, has raised the alarm over alleged plots by certain groups and individuals to cause breakdown of law and order in the country as the Yuletide approaches. The spokesperson of the DSS, Peter Afunaya, warned those behind such action to retrace their steps or be ready to face the raw deal of the law. What is the DSS? What are they trying to... Secret police?
Well, I think I read the report. I think it's a comprehensive report. You know, this with a lot of issues. Trying to warn Nigerians, caution Nigerians, especially those that want to travel. You know, giving security tips on where to go, where not to go, and to take precautions. He's talking about kidnapping, even telling parents to be careful about their children because they are on holidays now. They are likely to be recruited by cultists, by Yahoo boys. So people, you know, parents should live up to expectation. And also, they are talking about where security is more pronounced on the highways. And I think it's in recognition of the fact that the people are critical stakeholders in securing the public space. So I think it's a very good development. However, I think for anybody who monitors what is going on in Nigeria, what the DSS has released is not strange. It's more or less like a ritual. Saying that people should be careful, kidnapping and all that. We all know, for anybody who's very conscious of security, the aspect that should also interest us anyway is when the DSS is talking about plots to destabilize Nigeria. You know, what is significant for any secret service is to be ahead of criminals. So it shows that they already have the information. So what should interest Nigerians is that what are they going to do, you know, to ensure that this does not happen.
Emeka, hope the peaceful protests that we've been seeing, maybe the hashtag the North is bleeding, that we've been seeing, and does not fall into the category of people saying they want to, you know, heat up the polity.
Is there anything like heating up the policy? The problem is this carryover of a military mentality, whereby, you know, people think that because they're in public office, they are emperors whose word is law, whose word is final, whose word cannot be questioned. And no proper society tolerates such. There must be dissent. Every properly organized society tolerates dissent. So you cannot criminalize dissent. You cannot criminalize protests. We've seen it now from the NSAS protest has come out in a fundamental benefit for the Nigerian police force. So the country is at war. I've said it before and I'll say it again. For criminals to set travelers ablaze in a bus and burn them alive, I wonder what the DSS is still telling us. Are they, because I don't understand what other destabilization, what destabilization is worse than that. That bandits can go to people's homes, you know, try to kidnap somebody and they can't go in through the door or the window. They now went through the roof, the particular case, removed roofing sheets and got into people's house and kidnapped people. What else are you telling us? You're talking of destabilization, a situation where members of our assembly have been killed in the north, commissioners have been killed, a situation where people are being kidnapped on a daily basis in northern states. So what else are you telling us? Boko Haram, we see ISWAP, the Nigerian security services, the military, they've been doing a commendable work. They've been doing a lot, but a lot still needs to be done. So instead of telling us, you know, that there are plots to destabilize Nigeria, is to tell us that, listen, the SSS has gone ahead of this, you know, it has gone ahead of moves to act, you know, to cause a breakdown of law and order during this Yuletide. Yes, it's good, give the security tips to Nigerians, yes, but trying to put fear into Nigerians that there are plots to destabilize, it has become a broken record, and they should watch another record. That record is no longer playing well. It's worn, it's jaded, it's dead. They should look for something better to tell Nigerians. How they are putting bandits out of business. That is what we want to hear.
There's this attitude of still, you know, attempt to criminalize public protests, legitimate protests. People still going to arrest helpless and harmless protesters that are just carrying placards.
Yeah, like Emeka said, the attempt to destabilize any country is not just by the attitude of criminals. It can also come from the attitude of the government. For instance, if people want to protest and you don't allow it, you know, it leads up to bottled up disenchantment, which can take any form. And of course, in a country where you have poverty, where you have corruption, where you have disregard for human rights, where we have insensitive leaders who don't care about the masses. The price of food items are going up every day. People are being killed on the streets, and the government does nothing. Then the government itself is also culpable in terms of not doing the right thing to prevent the stabilization of the country. So the government has a lot of role to play in stabilizing the system, in terms of its economic policies, in terms of its human rights policies, in terms of its attitude to Nigerians, to ensure that the government guarantees, provide the essentials of life for them to be able to live and be happy, to live in a prosperous life. If that is absent, you cannot secure the farms. They cannot go to farms. They cannot travel. They'll be kidnapped. So the government itself need to wake up to stabilize the system by preventing, situation, that will lead to chaos.
Do you agree with?
Of course. I mean, when you are saying that there are plots to destabilize the police, I put it this way. When you don't allow an atmosphere, for people to get food to eat, people cannot see food to eat. People cannot pay their house rent. People cannot pay their children's school fees. What was destabilized? What is a bigger threat to the society than that? I mean, economic destabilization is the worst form of destabilization, because when the people have been brought to their knees by hunger, by
access their farms,
so many things, they can't go to farm. They can't even the means of livelihood. They say, okay, let us go and work. You hear that ISWAP now has mounted roadblocks in different parts of, in some parts of Borno State. So all of these things constitute destabilization. So I think the DSS should do us a favor by working harder to nip all these threats in the bud. I know they are making efforts, but they should also try harder, because it's not enough to just tell us that there are threats or the lion is out on the streets. Okay, everybody run for cover. You also tell us that
Olola D from Ilorin.
The lion.
That's Kwara State. My last caller today.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
I'm Akiola Ololade from Ilorin, Kwara State.
All right, go ahead, please.
Yes, we heard about the report of the alarm raised by the DSS. We remember before the Boko Haram issue, there was a DSS report that was shown in 2008. And now look at where we are today. If the DSS is raising the alarm, I wish the federal government will allow them to perform. Because it's all these things, all around politics. Look at the name of the list of terrorists, sponsors of terrorists that we are playing politics on. Instead of them to release the name of those people, to know them. They are terrorizing us in this country and we are not having peace. This one, they have had it down. They have the opportunity to fish out those who are responsible for this fact. If they can't do that, we always be talking about it all the time. And the problem we see be coming up.
Thank you.
So I just need to have the political will to do that.
Thank you for your contribution. So finally, we expect that the Yuletide, that the DSS guys, they are going to do a lot to provide enough intelligence to guard the country, make sure that we don't have a breakdown of rule and order.
People that are involved to be arrested, to be picked, and to be tried, not just to be saying that just release the report and then go to sleep. We want to see what the DSS will do at the end of the day to get at the root of the.
Thank you for your contribution today, and Wally Adeoye. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's our package today. Join us tomorrow for another interesting edition of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight by 11 p.m. and don't forget to join us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Zubakun. Bye for now and God bless Nigeria.